Howdy folks, this is a video on InsertionSort. And so we talked a little bit about just general sorting algorithms last time, and so I'll just dive in specifically to InsertionSort. So let's watch it go. If you sort of watch it go, this one has like a different sort of vibe to it than the bubble sort did. We're sort of going forward, then we're going backwards, we're going forward, then we're going backwards. If you watch that little red arrow, you can kind of see it like zipping forward, then zipping back. And that's because InsertionSort works in a slightly different way, where it basically looks at every item in the list. It's going to go through and systematically grab each item and then put it in order relative to everything else that it's found. So like if I'm looking at the third thing, I'm going to compare it to the first and the second thing to decide, well, where does this third thing go to be in order with those other two? And so it's kind of nice because it's really easy to understand. It's sort of like, okay, I have all my numbers in my list laid out in front of me, and I'm just going to move left to right, grab one, and then I'm just going to say, I'm going to make sure that this one's in the right spot. Then I'm going to look at the next one, and I'm going to say, well, hey, is this bigger than the one that I have over there? Oh, it is? Swap them. Well, now I know the first two things in the list are sorted. Okay, let's grab the third thing. Okay, well, is it bigger than the thing at the end? No. Okay, is it bigger than the first thing? Yes. Okay, well then leave it there. Now those three are in order. And so it uses information to help you sort it as you go. If you kind of watch the random one, you can sort of see that. The dark line sort of moving forward, you can see that it always kind of like, you know, it's like sorted at the beginning. If we click this one again, see there it's not even looking at the end of the list until it's ready to get down there. So it's really, really good. You can watch it on the nearly sorted one. It's really good on the nearly sorted one, like really fast. So this one still gets used quite a bit, even though it's pretty simple to implement. Okay, so if we take a look over at our code, we're going to use the same sort of boilerplate like setup code. Okay, so you can just copy this from your bubble sort. You know, hey, look, I'm going to make a list of numbers. I'm going to print it out, and then I'm going to print the sorted list out at the end. So I'll leave a comment here, you know, print sorted list out. And so I'm just going to throw in my InsertionSort code here. So the first part of this is going to start off pretty much like our other thing did. We're going to have a for loop. Let's go with K. And K is going to be less than my numList.size, because I am going to list everything here. Though one of the things that I can kind of get away with is I don't need to start with the first element because, well, you know what? The first element is like, I don't have anything to compare it to, so I got to start with the second element. So we can start K at 1 here. Now, the real trick about this one is that we can be very clever with our inner loop so that we... because remember how we had that kind of sliding stuff back? So if we switch over to our looking at the pseudo code for it, you can see that we have a more complicated little for loop right here, where we can see that, we're not starting at the beginning of the list, we're starting based on which number we're looking at, and then we're counting backwards. So we actually have a loop that counts down to the first element, and then it has two conditions for keeping on going. It's like we haven't hit the front of the list, and we're actually going to do the comparison right there in the for loop, because you might not have noticed this yet, but you can actually put multiple comparisons inside the for loop. So it's going to end up looking like this. For, let's do int, I don't know, we'll use J for this. So what's J going to be? Well, J is going to be, well, whatever K happens to be at this point. And then how are we going to keep going? We're going to say K is bigger than 0. And we're going to check to see if the adjacent spots need to get swapped. So just like we did with our good old-fashioned, wrong brackets, good old-fashioned bubble sort. And so we're going to check that a spot k is smaller than a at spot k minus 1. Because again, we're scooting the, if the one above is smaller than the one below, then we want to do that swap. And then what are we going to do? Well, in this case, oh, actually, that's not a k, that's a j. Right. So we have our counter going down here, j. And then we're going to do j minus minus. So, and you'll notice here that I'm using the word and. You can use the double ampersand, or you can use the word and in C++. I tend to use the word and because, well, ampersand, for whatever reason, is not on my easy to type list. So, and then if this is like happening, then I just want to do my little swap thing. So int temp equals, a at spot j. Oh wait, I said a. What am I talking about? A is not my list. That should totally be num list, right? So this is where I confused myself a little bit because I was looking at that pseudo code. And so I forgot that I had changed the name. So I'm going to use numList, make sure I do a good job there. And then I'm going to go in and, hey, look, numList at spot j, just like we did before, equals the numList at spot j minus 1. And you can probably just copy this code directly from your bubble sort. J minus 1 is going to be equal to temp right there. Okay, rock and roll. And so guess what? We're done now. We don't have to do any extra check strings for swap. We did it. We just really got a lot of power out of this one sort of magical for loop. And let's give it a run and see what we got. Whoops-a-daisy. Okay, looks like I ran into one of those issues where I swapped out of bounds. So let's think about that for a second. How could that have happened? Probably has to do something with where I did a comparison that sort of got too big or got too small. So the question here is, I checked for this. Aha, right here. I accidentally put a K instead of a J. Okay, so my other stopping condition didn't trigger because I had K bigger than 0. Well, K was always bigger than 0, and so I had to wait until I bumped into something that didn't match. So, whoops, got my things twisted, and you can see now that I generated all of my numbers and swapped them appropriately. Okay, good. So, hope you enjoy this. Make sure to turn these in. And, again, we're going to do a lot of applying of these next week. Now that we can sort stuff, we can solve some other problems. So, enjoy. Catch you later. Bye.